Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for week 29 Premier League fixtures. And I'm telling you, for this weekend of football, we are going to be seeing some amazing games, some amazing results, and hopefully some shocking things that transpire. We got Manchester City versus Liverpool, and we know this game in the past has pretty much been game of the season. So many goals, pretty much goal galore, 4 threes, 2 threes, 3 twos in the past, and let's just hope for goals. We also got other games like Newcastle versus Manchester United, and people aren't really talking about this. If Newcastle win this game, they could potentially drag the Red Devils back into a top 4 battle. We got other luxurious games like West Ham versus Southampton, 18th versus 20th in the Premier League table. However, before going into the video and give my match predictions, you know I'm going to say make sure you guys like, comment and hit that subscribe button right there, because only 10% of you guys are actually subscribed. And make sure you leave in the comment section who do you think is going to be able to win all 3 points. So the first game I'm going to be predicting is Manchester City versus Liverpool, and like I said in my introduction, this game has been game of the season like we've seen in the past. It's been a football spectacle, and although Liverpool have not been able to live up to the expectations of seasons past, despite that, we know in the past these two teams have given us classic games, and let's just hope for another one at the Etihad between these two sides. Although we know Manchester City are gunning for the Premier League title, as we know chasing down Arsenal, Liverpool have still a lot to play for. Although Liverpool are literally 6 or 7 points off the top 4 race, we know a massive 3 points, especially against the Premier League champions Manchester City, will go a long way for their confidence when it comes to the top 4 battle between the other sides like Newcastle, Tottenham and even Manchester United. And going into this game, I'm not even going to lie, as a Liverpool fan, I know Manchester City are the overwhelming favourites. They have been on an absolute tear, on an absolute mission as of yet. We can literally use the last 2 games as a sample size of how dominant they have been. They have scored 13 goals in the last 2 games. That just tells you everything you need to know in terms of their clinicalness, that they've been gelling together. And I feel like additions like Alvarez, Foden, even Gundogan coming back from an injury has gone a long way to make Manchester City more versatile, have more options off the bench, and really put teams to the sword and completely decimate them. And going into this game, Liverpool should be fearing for their lives against Manchester City, because we know Manchester City can score goals for fun. The magnificent form added to the fact that Liverpool have not won at the Etihad in the Premier League game since 2015 in Jurgen Klopp's first season as Liverpool manager just shows you how much of a tall task this is going to be for Liverpool to beat Manchester City at the Etihad. It has pretty much been our bogey ground. And going into this game, maybe Liverpool can breathe lightly, because we know Haaland, who's been on an absolute tear lately, scoring hat-tricks upon hat-tricks, scoring 40 plus goals already in a season, which is absolutely ridiculous. So this just shows that Liverpool should be scared of this. Or maybe he might be injured, because we know he's been suffering from a groin injury. Or has Pep Guardiola used his magic to make sure that he wasn't able to go to international duty? Who knows? We'll have to see in the game against Liverpool. Will he be a massive miss? Because I know that sounds ridiculous, but we have to know in the past that Van Dijk has actually had his number. We can see it in the Community Shield final at the beginning of the season, and even in the game against Anfield, where Haaland proved ineffective throughout the whole of the 90 minutes. Maybe Van Dijk likes this matchup. Maybe when the competition is way up here, he loves the fight, he loves the battle, and he raises up his levels. However, at the same time, if Erling Haaland does start, come on, let's not be silly, he'll be loving the matchup as well. We know Liverpool love to play a dangerous high line, which will invite Haaland time and space to make those runs in behind to threaten Liverpool's back line. Also, we know Liverpool's midfield has been lackluster, offer no real protection to the back line. So imagine players like Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, etc. drifting into space and being able to have time and space yet again to literally pick out Haaland's daunting runs in behind. He's going to have an absolute field day and potentially score another hat-trick if he does start. Even if he doesn't start, we know Alvarez, a World Cup champion, being pivotal for Argentina, and has shown glimpses and signs for Manchester City how effective he can be in behind. I feel like he can do the exact same job, maybe not to the same clinical levels, but I still feel like he'll be able to score a goal or 2 against Liverpool, who we know have been inconsistent at best. Liverpool, I don't know what side of bed they're going to wake up. Like we've seen in the past, they destroyed, decimated Manchester United 7-0. And then in the next two games, they weren't even able to score against Bournemouth, who were pretty much in the relegation fight. Sometimes it feels like Salah, Gakpo and Nunez are clicking on all cylinders and know each other's playing styles and can literally utilise each other's strengths. But then other times it feels like they don't know each other. They've never played a single game together. And with the Liverpool midfielders not being that creative, they literally have all the pressure on their shoulders to literally create chances out of nothing, the front three men. So going into this game, I feel like Liverpool have caught Manchester City at the wrong time. They've been on an absolute tear. I think it's winning 6 games on the bounce in all competitions, scoring goals for fun. I think Manchester City will have a field day and beat Liverpool in usual fashion at the Etihad 3-1 at home. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Newcastle versus Manchester United, and what an interesting affair this is going to be between the two sides who we know are gunning it out for a top 4 battle. And going into this game, Manchester United fans and Manchester United have to get off their high horse. They can't be all rosy and cozy think it's going to be a walk in the park, because this is a massive pivotal game for them. If Newcastle win this game, you do understand that Newcastle leapfrog you to 3rd place. So this just shows you how much is on the line when going into this game, because Manchester United can be dragged back into a top 4 battle. And going into this game, I feel like Newcastle have a very good chance of upsetting Manchester United and winning this game. This is because we know Newcastle have bounced back. They have licked their wounds. They've gotten over the fact they weren't able to beat Manchester United in the Carabao Cup final, and has shown this, proving themselves, winning back-to-back games, beating Wolves at home and going away to Nottingham Forest. We have seen that they've been able to create more chances, be more of a danger threat. Isaac being injected into that starting lineup, getting goals, showing he has that clinical gene, scoring 3 goals in his last 2 games. He's going to be confident, licking his lips, that he potentially could get another goal against Manchester United. And the fact that Newcastle are home, we cannot forget this has been a fortress for them this season. They've only lost 1 game at home all season, and that was against Liverpool, going down to 10 men. We know the Newcastle faithful, they're going to inject the atmosphere, they're going to make it hostile as ever for Manchester United. And we know Manchester United have a notorious past when it comes to away grounds, crumbling in fear, not being able to muster up the performances needed to get a positive result. We can look back at the Etihad conceding 6 goals. We can look back at Anfield conceding 7 goals. We can look at the Emirates conceding 3 goals. We can look at the game against Brentford conceding 4 goals. Yes, Ten Hag has improved Manchester United when it comes to playing top oppositions, but that only stretches at home. So we know Newcastle have the atmosphere, they have the confidence, they have the playing style, they got the manager, they have all the pieces in the jigsaw to literally upset Manchester United. And the fact that Manchester United still have Casemiro missing due to suspension, getting a red card against Southampton, they're going to be missing that steel and toughness in the midfield, where we know Newcastle have the players like Longstaff, Willock, who can run for days, can bring the intensity, can bring the willpower, can bring the physicality of really upsetting Manchester United when they have the ball in possession. We know Marcus Rashford potentially has an injury, so he might not be fit. And we know Manchester United have been heavily reliant on him scoring goals. I feel like in the game against Newcastle, they will be found out. I feel like Newcastle, St James's Park, is a very, very tough ground to go to. And there's a reason why so many teams have failed to do their best to get the victory. Newcastle are coming for vengeance, and I think they will get it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Newcastle within this fixture. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Arsenal versus Leeds United. And what a massive game this is going to be for Arsenal, obviously in the Premier League title race, and Leeds trying to get themselves out of the relegation battle. And going into this game, both teams will like their prospects of getting a positive result, especially since they both won their last fixture by 4 goals. And going into this game, I feel like I'm running out of superlatives to describe Arsenal. They have been absolutely magnificent, putting teams at the sword, being absolutely dominant, and been showing why they have been the best team in the Premier League so far this season. We saw Saka and Martinelli have real impact, show their trickery and bravery on the ball, running down the wings, showing that against any fullback, no matter how good you are, we're going to give you a tough time. We know Trossard still being effective in that false 9 role, linking up the play. Jesus coming back from injury. What a massive boost this is going to be as this is increasing the different type of style of players they have on the bench to really impact the game if it's not going their way. Arsenal going into this game have to be the overriding favourites against Leeds, especially since we know Arsenal at the Emirates have been magnificent and amazing, scoring goals for fun. And going into this game against Leeds, it's not going to be easy. And I think Arsenal will know this because early on in the season, Leeds gave them real trouble at Elland Road. And some would say Arsenal were even fortunate to get a result. However, at the end of the day, Leeds aren't at Elland Road, and Leeds will know it's going to be a tough game, especially since the fact that Arsenal have been undefeated, scoring goals for fun, winning games. I feel like winning 5 or 6 games in a row ever since the game against Manchester City at the Emirates. However, there is a little bit of weakness within Arsenal's lineup. We know Saliba will probably be missing in this fixture against Leeds due to the fact that he's injured, and we know Rob Holding is a massive downgrade. Yes, you can get away with that against Crystal Palace, who we know were not even able to muster a shot on target for the last 3 games, but you won't be able to get away with this against Leeds United, who we know have scored 6 goals in the last 2 games. Bamford has been firing, Rodrigo has returned back to form, and I feel like going forward, Leeds are a very dangerous outfit. However, going into this game, I cannot doubt the Gunners. Another game at home, and it should be another win. They have been putting teams at the sword. They have been dominated, killing them, and it feels like they're not nervous. It feels like the big stage isn't frightening them. It just feels like they've been made for this moment. They're keeping their heads down game by game, and Leeds should be another easy victory for them. I'm going to go for a standard 3-0 victory for Arsenal against Leeds. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Everton versus Tottenham Hotspur. And what a massive game this is going to be for both sides. We know Everton need the 3 points to literally put themselves with breathing space with the relegation battle, and we know Tottenham Hotspur need the 3 points to put pressure on Newcastle and even Manchester United when it comes for the top 4 battle. And going into this game, let me just focus on Tottenham Hotspur. It feels like a new era has been gushed into this side. We know Antonio Conte got fired or parted ways with Tottenham Hotspur, and now the assistant, who is now become the main man, is going to be in charge for until the end of the season. And it's not like Stellini lacks complete experience in this position, because we know under Antonio Conte, he has been taking games in charge for Tottenham Hotspur when Conte had to deal with his personal issues and to deal with his health. We know Stellini has literally sometimes unlocked Tottenham Hotspur going forward, literally removed the shackles from their ankles, and has allowed them to play attractive attacking football to be on the front foot. And maybe Tottenham Hotspur fans obviously long term will not be happy with this decision having Stellini, but in the next few games or so, that new manager bounce back, knowing him, being familiarised with how he wants to play, and the fact he's at least more attacking than Conte, they will take a liking to this matter. And going into this game against Everton, Tottenham Hotspur are going to have to be attacking minded, because we know Everton at Goodison Park with Sean Dyche are going to be well organised, resilient, sit back and make it really tough for Tottenham to really break them down. And we know Tottenham Hotspur, like I've said millions of times, they don't have that technical gifted number 8 or 10 who can unlock chances. So what will Stellini do? Will he stick with Antonio Conte's system of a 3-4-3 and literally hope that Kane proves off his magic, because they're Kane reliant when it comes to creating chances and scoring goals? Or will he change to a 4-3-3? But Tottenham Hotspur will have to understand, and I think they will be full wary to understand, that this game against Everton will not be easy. This is because in the last few games or so, Sean Dyche has started to turn things around for Everton, getting a massive victory against Brentford at home, who we know were on a 12-game unbeaten streak. Going to Stamford Bridge, picking up a point in the dying embers of the game, shows their toughness and resilience. And this sort of toughness and resilience can be added in this game against Tottenham Hotspur, because we know Tottenham are fragile, weak-minded when it comes to having leads, like we saw in the game against Southampton, choking away a 3-1 lead. I feel like it's going to be tough for Tottenham Hotspur. It is going to be a physical battle, and yes, I feel like they may be suited up for it since they have Højbjerg, Skip, Romero, even Harry Kane, but maybe they'll just lack that cleverness, that intricate play between the lines to really hurt Everton to score a bevy of goals to put distance between themselves and the Blues. So going into this game, I think it's going to end as a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two sides. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is West Ham United versus Southampton, and what a massive 3 points this is going to be for both sides who are pretty much in the relegation zone as we speak. It is 18th versus 20th, which just shows you the stakes are so high going into this game, because whoever loses are just going to drop even further down, and potentially their season could be over when it comes to Premier League football next season. However, going into this game, I feel like Southampton will have a little bit of a spring with their step, showing that they can hang with the best, getting a draw against Tottenham Hotspur despite being 3-1 down. This shows the toughness, the resilience, the never die attitude, and the fact that they have this toughness, maybe they can bring this sort of attitude in this game against West Ham and potentially get a positive result. However, like we've seen with Southampton all season, it's not the big team, surprisingly. We saw against Manchester City beating them at home in the Carabao Cup. We saw against Manchester United getting a 0-0 draw. We saw winning at Stamford Bridge. We even saw against Tottenham Hotspur in last week's game literally getting a 3-3 draw. It feels like when the pressure's not there, when it's pretty much a free hit, the Southampton players relish the opportunity and raise their standards. But when it comes to the relegation contenders, that's when palms get sweaty, knees get weak, and they don't really have the belief that they can pull it off. Maybe the pressure and the magnitude of the moment gets in their heads, and that's why they cannot perform at optimum level. And we've seen it in the game against Leeds and the Wolves getting massive defeats, and that's pretty much the reason why they are 20th. So against another relegation contender in West Ham, will this sort of pressure get to them and be the reason why they can't beat West Ham within this game to climb out of the relegation zone? We'll have to wait and see. However, they are playing West Ham, who have been absolutely terrible this season. Literally in the last two games, although getting a draw against Aston Villa is decent, they need to start turning these draws into win. And the fact they got battered by Brighton by 4 away from home just tells you everything about how poor and abysmal they have been this season. Going into this game, I think both teams are going to be cautious. They're going to be wary with each other. The fact that it's such a big, decisive game when it comes to the relegation battle, they won't want to show too much and give too much away in this fixture. I think it's going to end as a ball draw, 1-1 between the two sides.